Welcome. It is Thursday afternoon. It is 2 o'clock in the East. It is time for Volunteers for Israel's Educates. Today is episode 201. Well, big numbers since June of year 2000. Congratulations to us all. I have a couple of quickie things. Ilana will go through some VFI updates, of which they are happening on a daily basis. And then I'll explain what's going to happen today with our presentation. First, this is being simulcast on YouTube. Should we run out of or run over the 100 member audience that we have run over for the last 2 or 3 sessions. And for your information, you can go to, if you want, youtube.com/volunteers for Israel. And that'll bring you to a place where the simulcast is taking place. Interesting thing is the simulcast is exactly 20 seconds delayed from here, from live. So you can get wacko if you have both in your ears, and delayed 20 seconds is a long time. I've learned that. The second thing is that this is being captioned, and on your screen bottom, if you're interested, captioning is available. Today and tomorrow, I guess, is the anniversary of 2 things. One of them is really sad, and that is this is the 85th anniversary of Kristallnacht, which is November 9th and 10th. That is a remembrance of a very sad occasion. But tomorrow is Veterans Day, and for all fellow veterans, congratulations, we made it to another year. So I don't know if you folks do any celebrations in your township or whatever on Veterans Day, but we try to participate in the Veterans Day parade with one of our collector cars when we're able, and it's just a lot of fun. The YouTube version of last week's program, which was episode 200, has been seen by something around 400 people so far. So you can see that we're getting some interest here at levels we haven't seen in a long time. So that was a couple of announcements. Today we had scheduled a couple of things to happen. One was that we were hoping that Shai Shul would be able to give us, that is Lieutenant Colonel Shai Shul, active member of the Israeli Army, IDF. We were hoping he'd be able to give us an update from the field. It turns out that he is unavailable at the moment. He's not at a location where he can communicate with us, which tells me he might be in the Gaza area because they cut off a lot of internet services down there. Secondly, a gal named Rachel, who is the head of emergency services for a squad, is scheduled to give us a presentation in conjunction with Julia. I just got off the phone moments ago with Julia, and it looks like they'll be delayed a little bit joining us. Rachel will join us by around 2:30, and Julia will be joining us shortly. She's driving at the moment. So we have ourselves a little bit open time here for a little schmoozing for those who like to hang around till our presentation, which will start around 2:30 with Rachel. What I didn't understand until I learned of Rachel's work is that civil defense measures are extremely important, more so these days in Israel, and that I think every township has a little civil defense squad, which consists of men and women, and the military actually is arming these squads with AR-15s. In other words, they're getting automatic rifles to just be sort of like a little constabulary among themselves. So we'll learn more about how all that works. And in this case, Rachel is the head of one of these emergency committees in our township area. I'd like to announce, before I ask Ilana to give us a rundown on VFI-related and Sarel-related matters, next week we have another speaker live from Israel. Picture this. It's October 7th, and you are at a place called the Nova Music Festival, which is inside the Gaza envelope. And some bad things start happening. A lot of people were at that festival. Very few of them got out alive. A fellow named Amit is one of the fellows who got out alive and who lost 3 friends that he was with at the festival. He will speak with us next week on his experience and how he's managing what happened, and in detail what happened, and how he's accompanying or trying to help his friends' daughters who now are fatherless. So it should be an interesting story, if nothing else. It's definitely current, and it definitely is true. At this point, I'd like to ask Alana if she can give us a rundown on some of the ever-changing details due to warfare in Israel that we're experiencing with Volunteers for Israel.
Thanks, Steve. So we're a little bit at over a month of this war going on. It's just incredible to even think of it like that. We have a few updates. As everyone knows, we're really trying to get volunteers to start in January. Hopefully this thing will be over sooner rather than later. And if you can't get in right now, because the spot opens up, you can go in hopefully in January, February, when everyone's kind of throwing their stuff back and we have to get everything ready again for God knows what's next. So just if you can't go during the war, don't worry, they need your help after the war. There is a very large change to who can go. Apparently, Sarel has asked that we don't accept volunteers basically older than 82. So if you're older than 82, you could only go if your doctor finds you incredibly capable or whoever's interviewing finds you incredibly capable for some reason. But Sarel really made the decision that no one above the age of 82 can go just during wartime. This is not like forevermore. This is just during the course of the war. I don't know why they made that decision, but they did. And then apparently there's been a lot of questions about how much taxi fare is from Get Ben Gurion to Tel Aviv. It's 180 shekels. I think before it had been like 80, so it's 180. Also, if you're going to go, you need to check your individual health insurance companies to see that they are providing continuing health coverage for travel to Israel. A lot of them are not. There was one that was found where you can get health insurance. What's it called? Travel Guard. It's the one that we're recommending right now. So you can check them out if you're looking for individual health insurance. Also, people are asking if you can leave personal property on the bases on the weekends, and the answer is no, because of the ever-changing situation, you don't know if you're going to be at the same base the second or the third week as you are at the first, so you kind of have to bring everything with you. Other than that, if you're interested in going, contact your regional manager, go onto the VFI website, click contacts, click on the state in which you live, and contact the person who shows up on the right. And just be patient as everyone's handling a large volume. I'm getting at least 15 calls a day from people who want to volunteer now and in the months coming up. I think that's it, Steve, unless you have anything else.
Okay. Yeah, the emphasis we're receiving is that at the end of warfare, whenever that should be, basically the troops report back to their home depot, the base that they are stationed at, and they basically throw everything into a huge warehouse and they go home. And so there's a great deal of work necessary to bring it back to a state of readiness. And I personally have done a lot of that work in the past, in the 16 times that I've volunteered over there. In fact, somebody told me that we can almost consider ourselves sort of semi-reservists, because we show up and do sort of reserve work and then go home. And so I told my wife, she's now a semi-reservist in the IDF. So I have to get her a new thing to wear or something. So does anybody have any questions that we can focus on for the next couple of minutes until Julia is able to join us and carry us forward?
I don't see a name, but 9544941824.
All right, go ahead. You're on mute. You're on mute, sir.
Right.
Yeah.
I've done some checking, and it seems like since Gaza was taken over by Hamas in 2007, there's been, that's 16 years. There's been 7 conflagrations, wars, skirmishes, or what. And that's amazing when you think about it. This organization has made themselves a pain in the tuchus for Israel. And I'm surprised that Israel didn't recognize that way before now, where they're saying they got to eliminate Hamas.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the fifth real war in 15 years with Hamas. And in the past, the generals used to refer to this Hamas activity when they had to go over there and do something. They called it mowing the grass. Well, now they have to knock over the buildings. It's a whole different story. But you're right. I have to respect Hamas, ex-military myself, for their achievements. They're not a simple enemy. Just think of 3 or 4 measures that really are really impressive. First, they fooled the entire intelligence community of the world, including the U.S., with this little activity on their on October 7th. That just all by itself was sort of like amazing, considering all the contact points that Israel had. Another interesting factor is how Israel can tell where some of the tunnels are. Is that in the past they would have drones flying at high altitude, and they would try to figure out where the cement trucks were parked for more than a couple of hours. And wherever these cement trucks put themselves, there was probably a tunnel, because they use a lot of cement for the tunnels. It also seems interesting to me that the Palestinians are good at a couple of things. One of them is building tunnels. They're probably preeminent in the world. What is it, 16 miles of tunnel under that little piece of land? Amazing. They seem to be very good at making babies, because 50% of the population is youth. I don't think our population is anything like 15% youth. So there's something in the water down there that's not common. Anyhow, those are some thoughts, random. Thank you for your point, David.
Ted, you have a question?
I do, thanks. So I'm heading over in mid-December for my first volunteer rotation. And I'm coming in before I'm coming in before Sunday. I'm coming in midweek to get acclimated. I recall reading somewhere that at some point there were meeting spots that were not at the airport, that were in Tel Aviv. Do we know if they are still doing that?
I believe it's the airport now.
Okay.
I was just doing like the height of COVID, when you couldn't actually stand there in the Rivals Hall.
Yeah,
okay.
That's been discontinued. Everything's at the airport. 10 o'clock in the morning.
Easy enough. Thank you.
Rivals Lounge. Yeah, good question. Thank you. iPhone XR, you have a question? A point?
Yes, I volunteered with VFI for the dates of towards the end of January. Anyway, I'm wondering at what point should I expect to hear back from Sarel, or should I be receiving an email from them letting me know that the dates are confirmed?
I would actually contact I would contact Sarel. I have no idea. We don't have any way of like being in charge of their schedule or knowing when they're going to email you. So I would go to Sarel's website and email Johanna Hourhouse. Her contact info's on there.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Have you talked with your regional manager?
I have. I completed the interview and submitted the application. I just was told that I'd be receiving an email back from Sarel, and it's been a few weeks now. Just wondering, the time frame for that. Is it like within 2 weeks of the first start date, or is it something I should have heard already?
You should have heard already. I would go back to your regional manager and have him do an investigation of where things are. He can contact the right people.
Okay, thank you.
It. That's the easiest course of action. Ilana's also correct. If things don't work with him, I would jump to Sarel.
Catherine?
Okay, thank you.
It might be off the topic, but I'm not very politically astute. But with the election of Mike Johnson and Biden and what happened, I just feel people weren't protected. Where is the best place to vote to bring peace and justice to all of this? Republican or Democrat? Who can you rely on? I mean, Mike Johnson, they're evangelicals. They want us to go back so they can have their Armageddon. And Biden, I feel betrayed. So can anyone give advice?
And we don't talk about politics on here.
Oh, okay. Is there a site you can refer me to so I can get educated?
to vote?
Yeah, well, just a site that does discuss which are the best options we have.
I don't know one, if anyone knows one.
Okay.
I would suggest just stay ahead of the news since things are changing by the day. If you really want to get on the inside, the Jerusalem Post is always a good source of what's going on in Israel. That's like their New York Times. And there are other papers as well. And you can get them on the internet.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Steve, our speaker is here.
Oh, is Julia with us?
Julia is also here.
Okay. All right. I don't see Miss Julia, though.
I've already
there
made
she
her
is.
a
There
co-host.
she is. Okay. Very good. Well, in this case, I'd like to introduce us first to Julia, who is the official co-founder of VFI Educates and also our official Israeli guide when we're over there, either for just guiding or under, and she helps run the VFI Plus program where we have archaeology as a specialty. And Julia, thanks for joining us. Can you introduce our speaker for today?
Julia, we can't hear you. There's no sound.
Okay, you're not on mute.
No, we
You're
can't
not on,
hear you.
yeah, something is haywire. All right. How about if I introduce Rachel, and then we'll figure out what the sound issue is. So I apologize, but thank you for joining us, Rachel. Rachel is a head of emergency community squad at Maor. She is a physical therapist, a researcher, and a lecturer at Arel University. She's in charge of the Human Machine Driving Club lab and focuses on the prevention of traffic accidents. You have to talk to my wife. Yes. So thank you very much for joining with us today, and the floor is yours.
Okay, so I'm very happy to be with you tonight. I want to introduce myself with a presentation I made. So is it possible to share with you?
Go ahead. Yeah, you should be able to share right now.
Okay, so I will try to do it. Just a moment.
Okay.
Okay, so can you see the presentation?
Very good, Rachel.
So I will start. Tonight I will talk about civil defense crews of single communities in Israel. I will speak about the emergency community crew and on-call team of which I am the head of in a moshav, in a small moshav in north central Israel. You know, I'm sure you are informed with all what's happening in Israel and you know all the details, but I want to introduce also the background a little bit of the establishing this emergency team. And to talk first, I will also present myself and how come I established this crew. And okay, and I also want to apologize for my English. It's a little bit rusty. I didn't talk for a long time in front of people, so if certain words just slip off my mind, and so I'm sorry. There are a lot of terms that I tried to translate from Hebrew to English, and it's hard to find the right word. And I mean, like I'm still not sure what do I have in my hands. Is it a team, a squad, a crew, or something else? So I'm sure that there are small nuances that I miss somewhere in the terming. So generally, municipal governments felt the need to form a local community emergency response team. It's not something new. It's something that is here for the last, actually, for about 20 years ago. Since the establishment of Israel, from Israel state, Israel has faced various crises, disasters, and emergency situations of various kinds. We live in the countryside, which is based on settlements or villages. I don't know what you prefer to call them. I will use both terms. And it makes them having a more communal nature. You know that if you know the kibbutzim and kibbutz, moshav, and all kinds of settlements, and dealing with the crises and emergencies carries a unique community character. So that's what I would like to talk in the rest of the presentation about the special form of the crew that we formed here. Okay, the trend of this crews is doubly noticeable in rural settlements where the mutual acquaintance between the settlement members, the mutual relations and the social networks are of great importance. So we know that the emergency and community resilience team model was built and established with the goal of training local volunteers and to build a team that is based on the residents and every resident that is activist capable of fighting and dealing with emergency, and we want to run it the optimal way and to deliver immediate aid in the settlements while activating internal and external factors assistance. We know that maybe in the emergency moment, in the event, maybe we will be alone. Maybe we will not get help. You know, we have army, we have police in the country, but when you are a small settlement, and if it's a very big event, so you need to have the power to protect your civilians. So we do everything we can to be prepared. The value principle that guide us, my crew, is the principle of mutual guarantee. According to, the famous say, all Israel are guarantors to each other. And I will continue. Maybe first I didn't talk about myself. I wanted just to say that the ability of settlements to develop coping resources and organize themselves to deal with crisis, all kinds of crisis situations, that we know that this will increase the community resilience. This will reduce our dependence on external factors and will improve the process of returning later on to normalcy. And we want to be prepared in the best way to the rehabilitation following a difficult event of any kind. And so here you can maybe get to know more about me and who am I. I don't have any background in the army. I was in national service. Actually, it was in Gush Katif. Now I don't know if you are familiar with the term Gush Katif. It was a small settlement inside Gaza Strip, deep inside, next to the sea. And I just put here several icons to remind me of things I wanted to say. I learned brain science. I have a master in brain science. I worked in Levenstein Hospital as I'm an occupational therapy, and I specialize in rehabilitation of people after stroke and after traumatic brain injuries. But my PhD was on, like you presented, it was on assessing and it's driving rehabilitation. It's a special area inside the big area of rehabilitation. And I have this, you can see this nice driving simulator where I can work with people who have driving anxiety or ADHD, if somebody knows how they are driving from maybe somebody of the family, the son, the daughter. It's scary. I put the technology in the car, in vehicle data recorders, and I can see how they are driving, and I'm trying to improve their driving skills. Okay. Also, if you want to ask questions, you can feel free. I'm just, talking here without stopping. I also was an archaeologist, and what you see here is actually something I found, an Egyptian scarab. It was in Tel Tzafi, the place where it was known as Gat of the Plishtim, if you are familiar. And I also learned Chinese medicine, shiatsu, if you know, and I also like drawing. These are my drawings, several, but if I have time, I draw, but I don't. So this is me, and I want to present also my family. I want you to understand the background of how did I, not, so you will judge over there. Very busy woman doing studies in the university, and I have a big study funded with the Ministry of Science, and my head was really inside my work, and also really inside my children, and then I will tell you after I will talk about my family. How did I got to volunteering in establishing this defense crew? So this is my family. I have 7 children, and yeah, you are counting. So my oldest is 20, and I have 6 girls and a boy. He's exactly in the middle. And we like to travel in Israel and celebrate family traditions. Actually, my 2 older girls are in national service. Now they are regretting they didn't go to the army, and I need to stop them from leaving everything and going to the army. But they are doing very useful things. That my oldest is helping now farmers that need help. That agriculture in Israel are really bad shape, so they need a lot of help, and she's helping them picking, planting, packing, everything that the farmer needs. And my second daughter is a tour guide, like Yulia, but she's only in the beginning. And meanwhile, actually, she was set to a different job. All national service girls, and they are also boys, now they are helping evacuated people. The evacuated people from the north and the south to hotels and all kind of mini hotels, and they need a lot of help. So girls at 18, they go there, 18 or years old, they go there and they do a little bit of organize the mess. And I wanted to say that the rest of the kids are in schools, and my little one is in grade A. And before October the 7th, the closest I was to war was when we were playing on Independence Day, like every year, because my family name is Shichrur, and Shichrur in Hebrew is liberation. So we identify with the Liberation Day very much, and Independence Day, and we like every year to go around with what you see in our arms and on my backyard, that we have spray, and we spray on each other in it's a very fun and dirty game, and until it runs out, actually. And so a few things change from that last Independence Day. Okay, I will continue, and I want to present where do I live. And Yulia, do they know that we live in the same moshav, in the same place? No. So that's how we know. And I want to show you where is Maor.
Sure. Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you. Can Yulia? You can.
Rachel?
What did you? Can, yes. Yulia, you wanted to say something?
את שומעת אותי?
עכשיו, yeah, now.
Something is wrong. את שומעת
Do you
אותי?
hear me? Yeah.
אוקיי, לא משנה.
I can hear you. Do everybody hears me, or I talk to myself?
Yes, we hear you, Julia. You're okay. Go ahead.
Okay. So I put here a map of Israel, so you can see that that Israel is surrounded by Lebanon and Syrian and Jordan and Egypt and all over our country. And I cannot point. I don't know if you see my pointer, but Maor is really next to the sea, and somewhere in the middle, a kind of equal distance between north missiles and the south missiles, and as far as we can be from the West Bank. But it's, as you will see in my next map, when I did a zoom in, you will see that although it looks like we are pretty much protected, because we have 1.5 minutes to run to the shelter, and we are not like people in the south of Israel or the north, that they only have a few seconds and then it's too late, and it's horrible for people that are disabled and elderly people that have troubles with moving fast, or mothers with a lot of children. So we are considered to be a green area and not yellow or red. So here I took the map and zoomed in. Can you see my arrow? Okay, so I'm pointing on Maor. Maor, as you can see, we are next to the Mediterranean Sea. When I say next, I mean about 20 minutes in a car. I can go to the beach. And I put Israeli settlements and villages and kibbutzim and moshavim in blue circles so you can see, but I didn't put everything. So you can see that next to the sea, there are a lot of Israeli cities, Caesarea and Hadera is here. And so you can see that next to the sea and in Mishor HaChof, next to the beach, the area of the beach, we have a lot of Israeli settlements. But look at Maor, we are next to a road, to highway is number 6, which is a yellow road, like I'm pointing at here. And actually, next to us, there is a place called Baka El Garbia, and all the red circles show you that we actually are very, very close to Arab villages, very close. Baka El Garbia is around the road. We go outside Maor, and this is the closest, almost the closest place next to us. Baka El Garbia, Baka El Sharkia, Jat, Katin, Ar'ara, Kfar Kara, Basma, El Fachem. Soldiers, I'm pointing now on a very also important highway, which is called 65, and this highway is a very central highway, but soldiers got how do you say, from the army, when they say do that or don't do that, they told soldiers not to go through this road, although it's a very central road, because of El Fachem and Ar'ara and Kfar Kara, who are sitting on this road and can shoot, hurt, throw all kind of bombs on the road. So it's very close to us. So one of the things I'm thinking about is, how do I help my village, my moshav, be prepared for the worst scenario from my point of view, when all these cities, villages of Arabs decide to come to do to us what they did in the Gaza Strip. And we need to be prepared. Is there a question before I go to the next? No. Okay, so I just want to say that in Maor we have 1,600 residents, about 450 families. So it's considered one of the largest moshav in this district of Menashe district. All the other settlements, either like small kibbutzim and small moshavim. Okay, next. So I must go back to the Black Shabbat. You know the background, but I will say it anyhow. And I didn't manage to put here pictures of people. I put only pictures of missiles on Gaza and places that looks very much as Maor, as my village, and so you can see that it can be perceived. It's not something that you can think of, that your house, your neighborhood, your community will be bombed. It's something that the mind can't bear. So on the 7th October 23, Hamas, the Palestine terrorist group based in the Gaza Strip, began a devastating and coordinated attack that shook the southern and central Israel. The attack started at approximately 6:30 when Hamas launched a massive rocket barrage targeting civilian areas. Simultaneously, the terrorists initiated infiltrating operations, breaching the communities surrounding the Gaza Strip. The consequences of this terrifying attack are ongoing. We are in a war these days, and although I told you we are in a green district, I feel that my brothers and sisters are suffering. I mean, it's not like you feel not disconnected. Each one of the citizens in Israel feels like his heart is broken, and it's something that I think I don't know if people in other places in the world feel like this, but in Israel I feel like Israel is a big neighborhood. Everybody knows everyone. I know people that were killed. I know people that were kidnapped. And I know people and my friends know. So actually everyone knows everyone. They talk about us a lot in the world. And when I was abroad, I opened the TV and I saw that the proportion that the world is talking about us may look like we're a big place and huge country, but we are so small, and it's like I think like the size of New York, if I'm not wrong. So 240 hostages, 2,000 launches towards Israel, and we felt it also. And we are close to military base, very close to a military base. So we hear the missiles that go out to hit the Arab missiles. So we know everything before we even have the, I forgot the word, how do you call it? Yulia, help me, azakad, how do you say it in English? Azakad,
Siren.
Siren, okay, I forgot the word. So when we have the 10 seconds to organize, just because we heard the missiles going out of its base, and in some strange way it calms me down. And so so you see the numbers, and I don't want to still continue with seeing these horrible numbers in front of my face. I just want to check that okay, in response to this situation, a lot of places started building again this emergency crews. In our moshav, we had this crew, but and I was a member of it for 10 years. I wasn't the head of it, but I knew the job because I went to every guidance, every practice, everything that every material to read, I read about how to defend yourself. So okay, I will continue. Now Israel declared of an emergency routine, and I want to talk a little bit about this strange situation, which people call it routine, but we feel in an emergency. So what is an emergency event? It's any event that undermines the routine of the settlement. And the Ministry of Public Security defined it as an external situation that poses a threat to a person's life or the life of his relatives, or that harms the functional continuity of a person or community. And we feel it very much. Although everybody returned to routine and schools opened, the education frames were opened and people got back to work, and not all of my children got back to work, to school, because we have Arabs drivers, and my sons told me the only way I'm going on the bus, the school bus, is with a knife. So I understood, okay, you are afraid, so stay at home and try. I don't want to send you to a place you are afraid. And it's a problem that wasn't solved. We didn't find a solution to this problem because they're everywhere, and a lot of Israeli Arabs cheered when the massacre occurred, when it was published. They didn't declare it as a bad thing. So I talked to the head of the bus schools, and he said, "Why are you angry at me? I'm neutral. I don't, how did he put it? I don't support any side, but this is bad," as if he said to me, "If you don't, איך אומרים לגנות, יוליה? יוליה איתי? If you don't say that on something that it's bad and declare it as bad, so from my side, it looks like you are for it and not against it. Okay, so people in my place feel that their physiological, psychological, and social, everything is changed. Everything is not as it was. So even if you call it a routine, for us it's not a routine, and people are they lost their confidence in the system. Several of them, they knew that in the Gaza Strip they didn't get the help as fast as they needed. So that's why we need to know how is my village properly deals with every scenario of a sudden disaster, or if it's a war, if it's terror, if it's attacks, serious accidents, fires, suicide, flood, climate damages. We want to be prepared for everything. And every event can occur within the village and outside the area of the village, and it has direct connection with the residents of the settlements. Even if it happened in the roads outside, it means that the children cannot come back from school, or the roads are blocked, and we need to be prepared also for this kind of scenarios. So this is a picture of my crew, and actually from tonight. I left this meeting at 9 o'clock here in Israel's clock time, and went to talk to you. And this is only part of my crew. So I'm sorry that the names are in Hebrew, but it's not so important. I would tell you about the process of building. How did it started? About 2 weeks ago, only 2 weeks, the local committee of our moshav called me to form this team of volunteers whose job, as I told you, is to deal with almost any kind of emergency. During these 2 weeks, I established a very talented and professional team whose goal is to act skillfully during an event and take all the necessary care for the residents. And I'm telling you, it wasn't, yes, immediate yes when they asked me, because I knew it will take a lot of time and effort to build a strong crew. And you see here only the head of each small team, only the heads and the second numbers, and the crew has increased during these days, and we practice a lot. And actually, the meeting I was, and we dealt with all the lessons that we have from the last practicing when we practice a missile fall on the house and on the playground. Do you understand everything I say? I talk to myself. I need a feedback.
Yeah, I think everyone's understanding. If they have questions, if you have any questions, please just leave them in the group chat.
I'm not sure I can see the chat, but
I'll read the questions to you at the end. Not a problem.
Thank you. And I want to mention that all these people are volunteers, putting time, effort, and money for being, it's a really, it feels like not 2 weeks working, but like a year. We are working together like a machine. And it's very important that the people are from our moshav, because they know the village, they know the residents, and the fact that they know everybody helps a lot during an emergency for the individual and for the settlement, for the general, to continue functioning properly, from several reasons. Because one is because of a personal acquaintance. The people inside, they know the names and the persons involved in the area, involved in the event, better than professionals coming from outside. And they can come in immediate accessibility. They are inside. If the access to the settlement is blocked, so we need that the local emergency team will be already working in the field and doing its job until the professional forces will arrive, and then we will assist in ambulance and firefighters from outside. But till then we are on our own. And also, when you have people volunteering from your own community, they can give emotional support. A familiar human factor calms people down and instills a sense of security. So it's a very advantage of being a local emergency team. I wanted to talk about what does the team includes. We have several crews, and each team knows its job they're trying to in the most professional way there. I mean, each one is learning the job and working on it. And here you can see the logistic, and each one of these persons is, normal, regular people. A friend of mine, they did a favor to me. They come there. They have companies, and Adir is a handyman, and he is amazing with logistics. Efrat is actually my sister. She just finished her PhD, and I trust her completely. And she's responsible for the community and welfare. And with her colleagues, Einat and Chedva and Sharon, they already mapped all the. They sent a questionnaire to all citizens in our moshav, and now they mapped all the families, and they located the population that needs special attention, singles family with needs, mothers with small children, women that were left alone and they didn't see their husband since they went to the army at the beginning of the war, and they tried to know exactly who lives in every house. So when a missile will fall on the house, they will give us the best information to know what we need to do in this area of the rocket, of the fall. And the logistics will make sure that we have all the equipment to rescue people from a house, from the wrecks of a house, and bringing they know which person has a special vehicle for us, the tractors, the chauffeur. I don't know how to say it in English, but all kind of cars that can help us lifting up heavy things that might fall during a disaster. Okay, and health. I have a Plinit, which is a friend, and she's actually a doula, helping women after birth, and she has colleagues responsible on the physical health, the lead, and the emotional support by Ifat, and they're all. The lead is a teacher. Ifat is a psychologist. All the people are really people that left everything and came to help. When I talk about the education crew, they deal with all the youth volunteers under 18. We have a lot of youth that want to help, and we need to manage them so they will be helpful at war and not just hang around. And I don't know if it's the right translation, spokesmanship. When I have a crew that is dealing with giving messages to the residents. And so I think I covered all. And here I wanted to show you how our crew is integrated with the overall system. If something happened and a citizen sounds shootings on the fence or sees a suspected a person, and so he needs to call the command center, and he let a lot of people. He needs to inform the security, the community manager, and me, the head of the emergency team, and also the armed team. which is not under my responsibility. As I told you, I don't know to use a weapon. I wasn't in the army, but the armed team is a very practiced soldiers in, very, very good. I don't know how to say it, but since the beginning of the war, they gathered around, together, and they're not stopping practicing. And the one that is leading them is my brother-in-law.
Yeah.
So my sister is married to a soldier and just 2 years ago he left the army, and he was in every place, in the worst place that a soldier can be. He's a lieutenant, scan aloof, how do you call it, with a very high degree in the army. And now he is in charge of preparing this armed team to every scenario. And if it's a scenario that Arabs go inside our settlement, or shootings, something that is beyond my ability, so the armed team will go first and clear the area and let us know, you can go now. Send your crew to the zone, and then I call them, all my crews, the logistic, the community and welfare, health and education and spokesmanship, and we are all gathering in a special room we have, and we plan our moves, and that's what we are actually practicing all the time: how to interact together, how to work together, to define the exact role of each crew. And it's hard because, as I told you, we are only 2 weeks together, and we're almost each night doing it. In the day, I'm working on a lot of things related to this, and my children see me in a picture. It's not it's a bad joke, but they don't see me, but they understand. So okay, I will continue. I just wanted to say that the influence circle of an emergency is the base of the concept, the work concept of the community emergency team. We know that the disaster, or it doesn't concern only to the person that was hurt, but it's the consequences influence also the family and maybe where is my arrow? You can see that the person. No, I'm trying to bring the arrow here. So when the person was hurt, then it's a relative also to the family, and also to the entire village, and to the district, and so on, to the whole country. As I said, I was influenced from something, and not only me, from something that happened in the south and in the north. And actually, here in Maor, we also have people evacuated from the north and the south. I have a small apartment next to my house, and there it's like a train station. It's all the time people come there and then come there and continue, and we are on all the time think about how we can help other people in the country. Okay, so we think about how we can deal with all these circles, and to do it with professional tools. My crew was sent to a lot of practices in medical practices, how to give emergency help, and how to my crew now and I want to know how to use the to be a firefighter myself. I didn't go through I'm not professional firefighter now, but I did several hours to know what do I need to do and how do I need to open the pipes and how to use the equipment if something happens. So I try to give every guidance that can help us in order to be more professional. So I'm toward the end. It sounds like it was very long. So I hope you're still listening. That's the end. And I am the commitment, and I will read it. The commitment and the dedication of civil defense squads are instrumental in safeguarding the resilience of Israel's single communities during times of war. Their unwavering preparedness and unity serve as a beacon of strength and hope, exemplifying the power of community resilience. And so if you have any questions, now you can ask.
Thank you so much. Oh, that was really, really wonderful. I know I didn't know even a quarter of this, and I really appreciate getting a different perspective on what's going on over there, because we don't hear from people in your role or any of these roles. So I really appreciate it. We have a few questions that I'll read to you. Hold on one second. Okay, so the first one was from
Thank you, Julia, for inviting me.
Yeah, Julia can't seem to get her microphone to work, but hopefully next time. Poor Julia. Julia? Oh, you're still muted. Okay. So I think actually her screen is muted, is frozen as well. So connection issues. So Steve's asking, what level of desire is there among Israelis to arm themselves since the government failed to protect them?
Can you ask again the beginning of the question?
Yeah, like are there a lot of people basically in Israel who want to arm themselves because the government failed to protect them? Kind of a weird question.
No, I know that it's since the establishment of Israel, it's not this government.
Right.
We're attacked all the time, and I personally, I'm not surprised that this disaster happened on the 7th of October, because we have it continuously. So talking about being armed, and I think that every Israeli needs to be armed, not related to this government. No, they failed defending us, and there will be a investigation, and each one of the responsibles will take will be investigated, and need to take the blame. But I wish we didn't need to think about arming ourselves. Strange situation. You want to live normally, peacefully, quietly. And then you are pushed to be in a place when you need to think about a gun in your house.
Unfortunately, American Jews are having to think about the same issues now.
Yeah.
I'm sure Jews around the world. David is asking, what do your residents think of the failures in Gaza, meaning that the wall was supposed to not be penetrable, that there was was there proper security at the festival? Did it take the army a long time to show up to help?
Okay. I will say something. Okay. And I see that Julia sent an answer also. regarding your former question. I'm regarding your second question. I'm a religious person, and I know that if God doesn't want us to see something, we won't see it. When I read the parasha in the Bible this Saturday, I read about Hagar not seeing the well. Only when God opened her eyes, she managed seeing the well and giving water to her son. And so I know that if God wants us to see things, we will see it. And we trusted the technology. We trusted that it will help us. We put electric fences and very high-tech equipment and cameras, and we trusted that this will help us. And I know that there are settlements in the West Bank that they don't have fences and they don't have anything around their settlements. But they are the strongest. I mean, settlements without fences are the strongest from comparing to settlements with a lot of protecting equipment. The Arabs think differently. In the Mediterranean, if you are weak, you need to put a wall around you because you are defending. If you are strong, you attack, you present power. So the settlement, I know that it doesn't have fences. Arabs do not touch them because they know that if they will get near, they will be hurt and they're afraid. But we were so busy with defending, with putting walls and fences and technology, and we neglected the important things of giving presenting ourselves as stronger than we are. We were perceived as weak among the Arabs, unfortunately.
Thank you. Steve's asking, is this structure that you showed us of how your whole group is set up being implemented on a wider scale throughout Israel in different moshavim, or is everything decentralized? And then secondly, is the government helping in any way? The government's reaction or involvement, if anything?
Okay, this is a model I'm working on, and there is a section in the army which is responsible on the, I think it's called the home front or the back, and I don't know how to say it. It's Pekud Oref, that's what we call it, and they are responsible on the people are in the back. And these soldiers come to our moshav, and they help us practice, and they help. So it's actually the government encourage this kind of model in each settlement. Regarding the support, they give certain amounts of money to the council district, and they divide it through all the settlements in their district. And with this money, which is not enough, we bought all kinds of for communication, for weapons, whatever we could, and medical equipment, and it's not enough.
Okay, this might overlap a bit. Gail wants to know, are the Israeli villages receiving security items like steel doors, integrated hinges, door bolts for the safe room, bulletproof vests for a security team, cameras for the village perimeter, community medical kits for serious injuries, And if you're not getting these, where can people donate so that you can buy them? Basically, are you guys receiving everything you need in order to do what you want? And if you're not, where could people like us donate so that you can?
Okay. Moshav Maor is from 1953. It's we wanted to celebrate 70 years to the moshav, so it's very old. We didn't manage to celebrate yet, and everything stopped. But I wanted to say that this is a kind of old place, and a lot of residents elderly, especially in the old houses, they don't have shelters. So
what?
They don't have shelters. They don't have
shelters.
Shelters, a protected place to hide, and there are not enough shelters, public shelters. We mapped the shelters, and we have only six public shelters that people can hide in. One of them was not by the, what's a taken. It need to be proper and approved, but one of them wasn't approved, and our council helped us improving it and making it by the rules, but it's not enough. So I brought the soldiers that are helping us, which I talked about before, and they went to 20 houses from the old area of Maor, and they helped people understand where is the most protected place in the house if you don't have a place to hide it. It's not enough, and we don't have even okie-tokie, community. Communication to talk with the crews. We don't have. We are trying to get it to purchase. Good people want to help us, but it's the bureaucracy. I'm afraid that the bureaucracy will not wait for the missiles. I'm now giving price offers and checking and comparing the prices, and it's not as fast as I want.
So is there a way for us to give, like a Venmo or a pay? I don't know. Is there a place to send checks if people are interested in helping you?
I can talk about it with Julia.
Okay.
If it's, I didn't plan to.
Yeah, it's okay.
Raise money here.
People are just asking how they can help. That's all. So,
thank you very much for the people who want to.
Yeah. Okay. So, David says you mentioned the possibility of snipers on Highway 65, but are you hearing anything about Hamas having placed IEDs along roadways anywhere in Israel?
I don't know specifically about Hamas, what they're doing. I'm more afraid in our area from the Israeli Arabs, because they I forgot the word. They feel the same as Hamas. Hamas is a concept,
right?
They want this. They want to wipe Israelis from Israel, from the
off the map.
Yeah, from the map. So I don't mind. It doesn't interest me how they call themselves. If they don't want me here, I don't. Their title is not any interest for me.
Okay, but you haven't heard of any IEDs on the roads?
It's not specific.
Okay. So if anyone, that's all the questions in the chat. If anyone else has a question, you're welcome to unmute and ask. Although I want Rachel to be able to go to sleep. It's late there. So if anyone else has a question, please unmute or raise your hand, either one. As Julia says, we're not supposed to have Hamas in Israel. Correct.
You're not supposed to have a mouth in Israel. Catherine, may I ask you a question?
Sure.
Yes, I wanted to ask, can you send the slides, or are we getting a video of
So
this?
this is being recorded right now, and it will go up on our YouTube. So if you go to YouTube and look up Volunteers for Israel, this will be in a few days. It will be up there, and you can see it again.
Oh, thank God.
Okay.
And I'd like to thank the lady for coming and all her work. Thank you so much. Toda rabah.
Thank you.
We're having a lot of people in the chat thanking you. They're sending it for some reason directly to me, but a lot of people are saying wonderful job and thank you so much for coming to speak. So if there are no other questions, oh, Gail, you have a question? You're muted.
I have a question. We are reading here in the American news and also in some other kinds of Israeli news that we've had Druze and other Bedouin Arabs helping out. In fact, groups of them went immediately after the Gaza disaster, and with Israeli police helped in each of the kibbutzes on the border. So how are you able to really see the difference between Israeli Arabs who are not Palestinian and those who are?
It's a good question, and I just want to start with the fact that Khalil was the person who worked at Be'eri and the places that had this disaster. He worked with them 30 years. He was like a family member, but he gave all the information about each house, who is living in there, about each room in the house. He gave all the information, and the terrorists knew everything because of this so-called nice Arab helping. And so I know there are good Arabs, and when I worked in Levinstein Hospital, I treated Arabs. When I speak to Muhammad or Ahmed or whatever, I treat him like a person, but as a whole nation, I don't know how to call it, I suspect, and I will always suspect, because I need to be prepared. I prefer being suspective, too much suspective, and keeping my family and my community safe.
Great. Thank you, Rachel. I don't see any other questions. So thank you so much. And I'll let you go and Julia go so you can get some rest. And then from now until, a little bit from now, we'll be having schmooze. So we'll transfer over to that. Thank you, Julia. Thank you, Rachel, again for coming and speaking and taking the time to talk to everybody here.
Thank you.
Okay. So everyone feel free to unmute if you'd like. Okay. What are we down to? Julia, your mic. How frustrating.
Ilana,
Yeah.
if you make me a co-host, I'll turn off the YouTube.
Done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, someone's got to talk. People, unmute yourselves. Other than Maurice. Unless we have nothing to talk about, and then don't bother saying it's schmooze.
I got nothing.
All right. Yes.
Well,
See you next week, Julia. Thank you for all of this and finding Rachel and everything. Don't worry about it. We have to learn sign language. You can say it next time.
I hope some of you were able to go to the Shloshim the 30 days after. It was really something in our area, and I'm really glad I went. I hope that you were able to go to one of them in your community or the national one.
Pamela,
Yes.